acquired, they knew they would have to put in measures before that.
Yep.
They could have easily communicated what they were going to do to alert the people, to tell them of new procedures that were going to be coming in place. Instead, what happens? We hear of all these horror stories of juveniles. No, I'm saying horror story because the way the media played it up. Juveniles having to be searched without the parent being there in a private room.
You don't want to put out too much information. I mean,
no. Listen, these tactics. Let's not operate. Let's not operate as if the United States is alone in this world. Europe has been doing this for many years. Israel has been doing this for many years.
Ah, wait a minute.
But they profile.
They do profile,
and they should
but
be
you don't
doing
want
it
to
here.
put out what our security.
Once again, it's just
standing is. You don't want to put out our protocols. So if
not our first layer of defense.
If we had done
it isn't. It still isn't.
No, it's not.
It's our last.
It's
no matter
in there.
where we stop, somewhere is going to be our last.
But if we
layer,
had done
Anthony.
your plan, right, and put out the information of what we're going to do and how we're going to get there, and show the roadmap to get into that point, then I think there would be national security hawks to say, "Oh, Obama's laying us naked before the world. He's showing us everything. He's showing the whole game plan."
No.
Perhaps that's what sells their book. That's what drives the media.
You know,
let's use this though.
He's like that.
Let's not be led.
Coach.
Let's lead. Let's
like
not be led.
49ers
Let's
coach,
lead.
Taping.
Wasn't 49ers?
Who was it?
Oh, I can't remember who it was.
But the point is, in reference to what you're saying, I think that it rolled out the right way. I don't think we wanted a roadmap to where we're going to allow other people to assess what the weaknesses and flaws were.
There's politics at play, Anthony. Number one, there's other machines that could have been chosen.
They
selected this type of machine. Why? Now it comes out that Chertoff, outgoing Homeland Security, has a deal with this company that provides these machines.
You don't think Al-Qaeda could find an 8-year-old to walk through a machine?
The problem was...
So let's take juveniles into a private without the parent being there, and let's search them.
Well, how do they single them out? They do racial profiling? No.
The other issue is the TSA. The TSA.
You put everyone in a booth and you ignite their explosives. If you have no explosives, you walk out the booth.
Well, they said they've got dogs that can do just as good a job as detecting explosives. Then these scanners a better job.
Depends on the explosive.
It's going to get to the point where if this continues, these terrorists are going to start blowing themselves up inside the airports.
Well, at least we're still in a society that we can discuss this openly and argue the points.
Raymond, I agree with you on that, but I'm going to say this. You know, nobody has got more right to feel threatened by terrorist attack than the state of Israel. They have been, yet they have been very successful. But what they do, as you pointed out, is they do profile. They don't say how, but they do profile.
Well, they explained it on radio the other day. What did the questionnaires ask?
Yeah, but they're not giving you all the information.
No, not all of it, but pretty thorough.
Because if you get all the information, like Anthony was saying, the people who you don't want to have this information have it too. Now, you got the airports, but the Arabs, not the Arabs, but the terrorists, shall we say the Muslim fundamentalists?
Yes, because we hate to get you fired from Kenosha Public.
Well,
media.
But the people who really are the bad guys here have not proven to be too stupid. I mean, what we get, you get your yayas patted down because there's one of these guys who went with explosives in his underwear. You take off your shoes because somebody else had it. Now, if you think that if they profiled and got Arab, that's why I said Arab, if somebody who was Arab-looking or whatever, Muslim-looking, particular person, and they profiled them, don't you think they'd be able to find some nice, blonde, blue-eyed person, that jihadi, because they exist?
Maybe.
And they'll be able to waltz right through.
You find them in Bosnia.
Yeah.
Just the best way for the terrorists to solve it is going to blow themselves up in the airport before they get in the scanner, and they won't take the planes up, but they'll take a lot of innocent people out of the airports.
I know the focus is on terrorism, but I'd like to see in, let's say, 6 months, how much contraband material we confiscated, and how much maybe drugs that we confiscate.
You don't carry them on a plane.
Drug mules. Drug mules.
They do.
Drug mules.
Yeah, they do.
Swallowing or putting things in orifices. Yeah. I wonder if we're going to find...
I went through 3 times and hoping I would be searched that way, but they didn't do it. So.
Well, they say only 2% of the people
person that would have searched
anyhow.
you would not be the one you wanted to.
No,
only 2% of the people are checked going through through the airport.
But,
only 2%.
It is the program now. It is what we're supposed to do. We'll have to judge the effectiveness of it. And I think the administration has been willing to revisit it. I mean, I don't think they've dug their heels in and said, this is what we're going to do. I think they're saying this is what we're going to do now, and we're willing to reevaluate.
Well, Anthony,
this.
once again, what I said is, when I said a few months ago how they should have rolled this out better, because you had the head of TSA the day before said, no, absolutely, we're going to do it this way. The next day, what did we find out? They gave an exemption to pilots. They gave an exemption to another group.
Now Congressmen
okay, whatever. But I'm saying this means that their policy was not
I think are very,
well
very dangerous
thought
now.
out.
Yeah, I don't think I'd exempt congressmen anymore.
We can get an alderman exemption.
Yeah, we should get an alderman.
Just like they wrote
Depends what
the
city.
healthcare bill, and they've given out 158 exemptions already, waivers for the healthcare bill. How many more are they going to give out?
I think this is what frustrates the ordinary citizen.
Yeah.
Well,
they say we're going to do this, and then next day they turn around and say, oh, pilots.
He's extraordinary.
Pilots are exempt.
You're
Pilots are what's next? Nuns?
Special interest groups. You could take a nun, a lady dressed up as a nun.
Acorn office managers.
There you go.
Former Acorn, because they don't exist anymore. Former Acorn office managers.
Yeah.
The policy was not well thought out.
No.
And then you have the professionalism of the TSA calling names to people.
Back every place he goes.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that greater disclosure always is. You always have to understand what environment you're operating in. The military wouldn't have greater disclosure on their battle plan.
Well, that's my
It is a battle plan.
It is
It's nothing to do with battle or military.
Absolutely.
And if
does.
you don't think that way, then that's where we start to slip up.
No.
But I don't think
It's a different kind of
scanners,
security.
I don't think these scanners
Warfare
are
is
going to
warfare,
stop
military
what we
is
wanted to stop.
military.
Because if it gets all the way to that
Because
point,
we're dealing with our rights, our constitutional rights as citizens. Let's remember that. If we go in there, we're consenting to search. All right? Let's remember that as well.
Americans will give up security. Will give up their rights.
Well, that's what Biden thought when he wrote the omnibus bill, which preceded the Patriot Act, which was highly intrusive into our rights.
And then when even more intrusive, and people accepted it. And only Russ Feingold, he's the only guy who voted against it.
Let's have a moment of silence for Russ Feingold.
And what did that get Russ?
Well, he's out of a job now.
That's right, because he fought for our constitutional rights.
One of the few things that he did that was
He probably had a side thing to do with that as well, so I don't really... being a politician.
No, because Russ Feingold is a Rhodes Scholar, and they're educated in one world government. And that's how he was educated.
Oh, I didn't know that. He didn't...
Well, that's why we come here to learn from each other.
Oh.
That's what we're doing. I'm learning a lot tonight.
I got to Snopes that.
I wouldn't use Snoops.
Snoops.
I wouldn't use Snoops, though.
George Soros controls that.
That's George Soros's Snoop site.
Ah, what a guy.
Oh, well. Listen, before we're winding down. Let's go back to one thing that you mentioned before. Anthony mentioned it. Mr. Steele, chairman of the Republican Party. Guys on the Republican side, should he be around next year as a chairman, or should he be replaced?
No, if he wants to run for office, I'd support him.
I vote thumbs up for Steele.
I like Michael Steele.
Then why are they clamoring for his head?
That's the elitists from the old guard that are still
there. It's the same reason, Anthony, why very soon those within your party are going to be clamoring for the head of Obama. Because there's a power struggle, and they want him out. A certain segment within your party wants him gone. It's the same thing. That happens in all parties. Well, I'm here to tell you, we both like Michael Steele.
Michael Steele's done a good job. It's that small group of elitists from the old guard. When we had the old leadership there.
I know it makes people uncomfortable.
We're all for
part
change.
Of that.
I know it makes people uncomfortable when I talk about race, but I'm sorry. If you don't understand the concept of the black tax, if you don't understand the concept that you have to be twice as good in any environment than your Anglo compatriots, then you don't understand what it means to be African American in this country. And this is a perfect example. There's nothing that Michael Steele did was wrong.
I agree with you. He didn't do anything wrong.
No, it's a handful of people in that administration that don't like him.
You still got
You're always going to have that.
Haley Barbour
calling for his head. You still have...
Well, I like Haley Barbour.
That's their right. That's what the country is.
You got the Republican Governors Association trying to gain prominence over the over the RNC, right? Where they should be in deference to the RNC because the RNC is the controlling factor there, right? But
should be.
Well, They're the financial arm, pretty much.
And I know you can take this on a political side and say, oh, it's kind of like Howard Dean. Howard Dean came up with the 50-state strategy. Obama improved the 50-state strategy. Howard Dean got kicked out.
He went to 57 states, President Obama did.
But you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. What if all the county chairs got together in Wisconsin and say, if you guys don't do what we want, we're not going to give you volunteers? You know, I don't care. You don't do what the people want, you're not going to get any volunteers. Next time you run for office, we're going to sit on their hands and do nothing. That's the kind of power the people should have. And
well, the people do have that kind of power. Yeah. They can always sit back and do nothing.
Yes, they can.
I don't recommend it. I strongly advocate against doing that.
But they could.
But they can.
And that's what the governors, I think, are doing. They want more of a voice. And I think they do like steel.
But the argument I'm making is that that achievement, personal achievement, is going to be hollow as long as no one talks about racism in this country. And in reference to this, okay, here's a man who got to the top of the political establishment, then delivered.
Even lost elections and did it.
Then delivered. I mean, obviously 2010 is a Republican year. We can't argue that.
And so will 2012.
We'll
if
see.
It keeps on going,
you guys are going to out Republicans.
It'll be the year of the little old.
But the point I'm making is here's this man did all this work, and yet it's still not good enough.
And I wonder,
when you talk about Obama, when you talk about President Obama, you can call him a socialist, you can call him a communist, you can call him all these names.
He's not a socialist.
None of these which have any.
He's a
bearing,
corporatist.
But
yes, he is a corporatist.
He is.
But the work that he has done and what he is trying to deliver.
It's about his suit and his big house, and that's what he's about.
Well, he spends more time.
He's certainly a corporatist.
He spends more time on vacation.
It's amazing how.
Since we're going off of steel, and I understand your point,
than George Bush ever did.
I understand your point now.
And let's understand real quick, John, real quick. The criticism that Michael Steele got when he picked up the leadership, all the name calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Where did it come from? Not from our side.
Okay. I liked him from the day one.
From members of your party.
You know, it actually came from the Republican Party, but that's
who disguised as Democrats.
Does Michael Steele end up being your hero or doofus, or are you going to make a prediction about him? Because it's that time.
Well, I tell you what, I think he, if he wants the job again, he'll have it. He'll get the votes.
That's your prediction?
Yes.
Is he a hero? Okay, he doesn't have.
He's a hero.
Heroes prediction. Doofuses.
I'm not having any doofus this week. Let's give those guys a break. But let's give credit to incoming Governor-elect Walker for putting his foot down and saying, Mr. Doyle, Governor Doyle, please hold up a little bit. The state is in trouble. We can't afford spending as if we got nothing to do.
Do you have any heroes or doofuses?
My prediction is the Bears will take the NFC Central, but they will not. NFC North, but they will not make it to the Super Bowl.
Well, since you're going football, my heroes are my alma mater. Going to the Rose Bowl. If it's not official, but if the Badgers don't go to the Rose Bowl, it will be the worst sports travesty of this century.
Usually when they reach this level, they end up going to the Rose Bowl.
Those guys look scary good.
I was in Vegas the last time Wisconsin went to the Rose Bowl, and Vegas was packed with Bucky fans, man.
I mean, those guys are looking scary good.
People that live out there. A lot of them.
Well, a lot of them flew into Vegas and then drove to Pasadena.
But it's no longer a PC to go to Vegas. Remember that. You can't be going there anymore. That's what the big boss said, remember?
Obama says no going to Vegas.
Don't go to Vegas.
No. Stay at home. We'll get in debt for you. You don't have to do it yourself.
We'll see you in 2012.
Anyway, we were out there, and it was so funny because you could tell all the Wisconsin people, other than the W's that they were wearing, we're all in shorts and T-shirts, and all the Vegas people are in long coats, hats.
Yeah, but they work. So they dress nice when they work.
No, my
Depends
point is
where were you?
My point is we're thick-blooded. We can stand the cold.
I was in Las Vegas.
No, what part of Vegas?
I stayed at the Riviera.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.